Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. Thank you for joining us. Again, really appreciate that you're able to do so today. So I want to tell you a little bit about the program, Arts, Culture, and Things in Between, like I usually do every Sunday. So bear with me to those of you who have been here before. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you. So Arts, Culture, and Things in Between is a program that features individuals who are gatekeepers of our arts and culture. They're not only performing artists, but also teachers, advocates, and scholars who focus on the preservation of the arts and culture. When arts is mentioned, it is being referred to as the different art forms like visual, applied, or performing arts. Examples of visual arts would be like painting, sculpture, photography, film. Examples of applied art could be like architecture, or designing, or constructing a project, fashion designing, such as working with different types of patterns and fabrics would be considered applied arts. So would jewelry designing, working with different materials such as wood, plastic, metal, silver, and gold, in addition to various types of stones. And furniture designing, working with various types of woods, the ways that the woods are cut and designed. Then there's performing arts. Some examples of performing arts would be music, photography, theater, opera, drama, singing, stand-up comedy, and my first love, dance. When culture is mentioned, which is the middle part of the name of the program, arts, culture, when culture is mentioned, it generally means the way of life for a particular group of people. So for this program, it is inclusive to mean the various groups of individuals that embrace ways of life. In other words, looking at attitudes and behaviors. What is important to note, though, is that as culture is mentioned, I'm really looking at how practices are passed from one generation to another. The last part of the name of the program, Things in Between, has to do with a focus on life's issues. I mean, we're looking at life issues that affect the execution of the arts and cultural practices. This involves both positive and negative experiences that become part of the creative process. Today's guest is a performing artist. But before we go further, I would like to share the bio with you. Performing artist Andrea Douglas, dancer, choreographer, educator, and artistic director, hails from the city of Georgetown in Guyana, South America. It was there her career as a dancer began only 48 years ago. Andrea's love for dance was observed at the age of 6 when she was a young student at Stella Maris Prep School. One of the teachers, a Catholic sister, Costa, recognized Andrea's attraction to rhythm and music and kept Andrea busy by teaching her little dances. Andrea moved on to Sacred Heart Primary School, where she participated in every concert that was presented. Through her passing of the common entrance examination, Andrea was afforded the opportunity to attend St. Joseph's High School, where she worked with the late Beryl McBurney of Trinidad and performed Ovira. This is a traditional Portuguese dance that was done for Guyana Independence Celebration's historical pageant at the National Park. It was not until the year 1972, after the first CariFesta, the Festival of the Caribbean Nations, when Guyana government invited Madame Lavinia Williams, an Haitian American, to open the National School of Dance, that Andrea, as a youth, grabbed that opportunity to receive formal dance training. As a founding student of the Guyana National School of Dance, Andrea studied with instructors such as Madame Lavinia Williams-Katie, Geraldo Lastra, and Eduardo Rivera, both of Cuba. She moved through the class ranks quickly and showed promise as she graduated from her dance performing training as well as the dance teachers program. Following this, she immediately enlisted as a dance instructor at the National School of Dance. She did this while continuing on her path as a performer. Andrea was also a founding member of the Guyana National Dance Company. With the company, she performed both locally and internationally across the Caribbean and South America. She became the company's first soloist and one of the main choreographers. She's remembered for her passionate solo performances of Many Rains Ago, Waiting, and the stellar lead as Old Hike, a Guyanese myth, along with Masquerade Queen, one of Guyana's traditional African folk expressions. Andrea has taught dance at primary schools in Guyana. She founded a community dance group called the Sept Dance Theater that was located in one of the city's needy neighborhoods. It operated every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and met the needs of a large group of boys and girls. Along with this group, Andrea guided over 100 young dancers to successful performances at Kai Festa, an annual festival held in Guyana. Sept Dance Theater also performed at community concerts, dance competitions, and ventured out on island tours to Barbados and St. Lucia in the West Indies. While involved at all levels, Andrea always found ways to enrich her dance knowledge, her technical and performance skills. She attended dance workshops in Trinidad and Tobago, where she studied with Caribbean pioneers such as Beryl McBurney, Noble Douglas, and the late Astor Johnson. She also attended summer workshops in Jamaica, West Indies, where she trained with leading choreographers such as Barbara McQuarrie, the late Sheila Barnett, and the late celebrated choreographer, Professor Rex Nettleford. In 1985, motivated by the need to grow and explore her artistic passion, Andrea migrated from Guyana to Jamaica, West Indies. From 1985 to 88, Andrea attended the Jamaica School of Dance at Edna Manley College of Visual and Performing Arts. Through this experience, she discovered and explored more of her artistic calling. While performing for the Jamaica School of Dance, she was also assigned to classes in the junior department. During this time, she taught in 15 public schools in Kingston and its suburbs. After her first performance season as a dance student with the Jamaica School of Dance, the late Professor Rex Nettleford singled Andrea out and extended an invitation for her to become a supporting dancer with the internationally acclaimed National Dance Theater Company of Jamaica. It is noteworthy that while studying at the Edna Manley College, Andrea trained and performed in the major repertoire pieces of the National Dance Theater Company. These dance pieces included Celebrations, Jerabenti, The Crossing, Kumina, Sunday Morning, and This Poem. Andrea toured and performed with the company for 6 dance seasons. In 1988, Andrea graduated from the Edna Manley College and was then accepted at York University in Toronto, Canada, where she pursued her master's degree in fine arts in dance ethnology. While at the York University, the Fine Arts Dance Department saw Andrea's strengths as a performer and dance instructor, and this allowed her to take leadership roles in developing partnerships between the university and schools in the immediate Jane Finch neighborhood. Andrea taught dance elective courses and worked as a teaching assistant with numerous professors in the dance department and performed with the York U Dance Ensemble. She was a presenter for workshops and a lecturer who demonstrated at York University and schools in Toronto. Eventually, Andrea became a dance education facilitator with the then North York Board of Education. Later, she achieved the Ontario Teaching Certificate from the University of Toronto, and this led to her transfer as a qualified academic performing arts teacher, a nexus to her career as a performer. In further giving back to her community as a performing artist, Andrea danced with Dance Carib Performing Company, the leading Afro-Caribbean dance companies in Toronto. She was also a freelance performer, choreographer, and instructor for a number of organizations in the community, staging performances for the Miss Guyana Canada pageant, the Miss Jamaica Canada pageant, and the Miss Caribbean Canada pageant. She has been the resident choreographer for the Applause Institute Cotillion Ball and the EDGE Program Annual Cotillion Ball. Since 1994, Andrea has been the artistic director of the Children and Youth Dance Theatre of Toronto, a community-based academy for marginalized children and youth, which she founded. Her ultimate focus and passion are working with children and youth, as she sees the need for affordable, accessible, and structured arts institutions for talented children, especially those who are marginalized. Children and Youth Dance Theatre of Toronto is a dance academy, and it has its own studio. It was established as a Canadian charitable arts organization and offers daily dance classes in idioms such as modern, classical ballet, jazz, Afro-Caribbean, acro, and hip-hop. Dances are done at recreational and competitive levels, and the students have had opportunities to perform at conferences and cultural events in Canada, the US, Germany, and Scotland. And those performances were particularly done by the Performing Company of Children and Youth Dance Theatre of Toronto. Under the artistic directorship of Andrea, this dance theater for children has represented Caribbean, Canada in Mexico, Jamaica, and Carifesta 2017 and Carifesta 2019, the first ever for Canada. Andrea has been an educator for 25 years with the Toronto District School Board, where she taught mainly at inner city elementary and intermediate schools. Her leadership in the area of learning through the arts strengthened her forte and propelled her as an educator who was different in ways that she transferred knowledge and skills to her students. In essence, integrated learning where the arts and education merged. She became a vice principal, then principal of elementary education, and she used this opportunity to establish partnership programs with institutions just such as York University, the Canada National Ballet, Woodlinks, and Toronto Argonauts. These partnerships afforded students the opportunity to engage in programs that connected education with other industries and infrastructures for future learning and employment. She was able to establish dance programs in her schools, harnessing the energy and talents of marginalized students in the performing arts and successfully seeing them through to being accepted into Toronto's top performing schools. Andrea has received many accolades for her involvement in educational leadership and her contributions to the arts and culture within the Canadian community. These include recognitions from Toronto District School Board, Caravana, and a number of local Toronto organizations. She is especially proud of two. In 2005, Andrea was awarded by the Ghana Cultural Association of New York for her outstanding contribution to Ghana's culture and heritage. In 2013, she received Canada's most prestigious Black Award, the Harry Jerome Award of Excellence in the Arts for her contribution to the arts both locally and globally. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our guest today, performing artist, dancer, choreographer, educator,
Retiree.
director, and she's prompting me to say retiring.
Right.
But before we meet her, let's take a peek at her. Let's take a peek. Let's see what she's about before we talk to her. Let's take a peek at her.
Oh my God. Mhm. Oh, she did it differently.
Wow. Andrea, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. That little collage, that was a little reminiscent, I would say, reflective.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it is. It is.
A little,
Oh,
a
that it.
little.
Go ahead. And it took me down that little journey backwards.
Welcome, welcome. Good to see
And thank you, Rose, for having me on your program.
you. Welcome. Way to delve into chatting up with you. You've done so much work. 48 years, Andrea.
Many years. Many years.
Oh my goodness. So
And
you,
it still continues.
well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You're working as a retiree, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But looking at that, looking at the collage, right? Reflecting on your past with the photos that we put together. What were you thinking when you looked at those pictures?
Um, my personality traits are right there. I could see some of it. I saw the feistiness from the early age. Actually, that picture with me standing, I was about 5 years old. I know that was taken out because I was really mad. The steel band was passing, and I was not allowed to go with everybody out on the bridge to watch.
Which
So it was, I don't know what steel band, but they had the pants around their necks. They were wearing pants around their necks. The old time steel band, ping pong. And the music was going, and I didn't get to go. So that was something to be mad about. But I can see some of my harder qualities as a child, because that determination and that fierceness that I had as a child. And then you start to see that closing down when I started high school. And then my whole personality shifted to something that's much more softer, gentle, compliant. That personality started to emerge. And for me, I guess when I went to St. Joseph's High School, somebody harnessed it and kind of slowed it down, confirm here, confirm there, and I started to conform to expectations.
so was that person Sister Costa?
No, actually, it was just being at St. Joseph High School. There are so many rules and so many things. I was a little fighter. I got into scuffles in elementary schools, but not in St. Joseph High, maybe a little in St. Joseph High School. And then it faded. I was a very tempered person.
Wow. You know. So you started dancing as a child with Sister Costa
Yes.
and eventually became a student at the Ghana National School of Dance. Aside from Sister Costa at prep school, Stella Maris, um, let's talk about other individuals, uh, even in addition to your parents, I would say, because as a child, you would have had to have their blessings to be engaged in that.
Mm.
Who were some of the supporters of your dancing as a child?
I would say my father wanted this to happen 100%, but he didn't have a choice because I'm a determined person. You know, before I even started, I remember when I was taking lessons in Murray Street for common entrance exams. The Tate Ballet School was somewhere up that street, and I made it my duty every day to pass, sit on the bridge, and watch the kids go in. Then I found out I could go through the side gate, and I can look through, the jealousy windows. Those are you can just tip the window, and I would stand there. And I learned about first position. I learned about second position. I heard the word plie, I thought was PA. And I used to stand out there and try them out. Many times I got home late from lessons and I got a whacking. But as long as I got to pass there every afternoon after lessons, I would go and stand and look. My dad said, no, that's for rich people, because I did ask him if I could go. But he said, no, that's for rich people who have money. But I had a clear understanding of what was going on. So I just kept going every afternoon, licks or no licks. I would stand there and watch and see them do their little turns, and I would be doing turns outside. And I left and I went home.
So you're peeping through Tate's jealousy window,
Mm-hmm.
and you're hearing all of the terms of dancing, in terms of the positions of the feet, first position,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. And you're trying them out even before you get an opportunity to receive formal dance training, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Between that experience of standing outside of Tate dance school as a performer, as a child,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the dance school, how prepared were you by the time you got to the dance school?
Well, because I was doing so much in school for the concerts, I knew about costumes. I knew you had to have on the right costumes. I knew you had to dance in lines. I knew you did circles. You had to remember your dance. I think I remember the counting and getting the counting to go with the music. So I thought, I was already a dancer. I knew how to dance as far as I was concerned because I had all these experiences. So when um, the during Carrie Festa, I didn't get an opportunity to go because I was still young and nobody was there to go with me. And I think they were the national park. I went for that one, but not the shows downtown. And then I saw this picture with the Jamaican National Dance Company and Rex Nettleford in the Caribbean Contact. I don't know if you remember that newspaper, the Caribbean Contact. And this man's picture, he looked like a king. So I folded it. I kept that picture, that newspaper. I think I still have it now, but I couldn't find it, with the company and Rex Nettleford. And I knew that someday I would dance with this person. I just said it and I put that to rest. So when I heard about Lavinia Williams coming, I was ready. It was just $15. And I was ready to go. I didn't have dance wear. I took a t-shirt, or no, it's a jersey, we call jersey, the stretchy ones. I cut it and I sewed it ready. I have dance wear, I have a bodysuit, and I was there.
Wow. Humble beginnings, I'm smiling as I listen to your story, Andrea. You talk about as a kid, as a child, wanting to fantasizing about dancing and with this man who looked like a king. In my line of business, it's called creative visualization.
Mhm.
And you did that as a child, and these things happened for you later on. I'm so excited for us to talk about that. But let me ask you one more question before we take another look at your work. You've attended St. Joseph's High School. And I guess you were one of those hutsy tutsy girls.
No,
I don't know, I'm throwing shade
in between.
it's and roses and we girls from Christchurch we were anyways. How about your involvement in the arts and dance at St. Joseph's?
Well, it was at St. Joseph. So I was at St. Joseph around the time of independence,
Okay.
and all the high schools were involved in this national pageant. Um, Much to my father's objection, I put my name down, and I put my name down to do the dance with my school. The rehearsals were all during school time, and Beryl McBurney came from Trinidad, and she came to all the schools. I think it was Tutorial, St. Rose's. I think St. Rose's did the European dance, whatever. And we did the Portuguese dance. And I went to every rehearsal, and we had to make our own costumes. And that's when the problem came. Because who's making my costume? Who am I asking? So I was doing sewing in school, and I learned how to cut the skirt, which is a straight thing, gather it, put elastic in the waist. And I made my own costume. I sewed it with my hand because if I knew that if I went home and asked my dad, he would say no. So I made sure I did everything at school, and then we had our rehearsals. It was held like the rehearsals were during the day, and then came the big night rehearsals. What am I going to do? I took off. I took off and I went. And, because I was in it, well, he had to give in. He gave in because I couldn't spoil it. I had partners dancing with me. And my brother, who lives here in Canada, he would come with his bicycle and pick me up afterwards. So I got to do that, but it was a wonderful experience. It was such a wonderful experience. I felt I had hit that point.
Wow. Nice, 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 nice. Listen, all in laying the foundation.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek at some more of who Andrea Douglas is and come back and talk some more.
Hey. Whoa.
Oh, I know. So for those of you who are joining us, who've joined us late, I'm sitting with Andrea Douglas, who is a dancer, choreographer, artistic director, retiree, and everything in the mix. And she's here chatting with me on arts, culture, and things in between. Andrea, we saw some elements of you as a performer there. And the one thing I reflect on you as a dancer, as a performer, is that smile. You're always smiling, Andrea. And I don't think you stop smiling, which is.
No, it got me into trouble too. It got me into a lot of trouble.
Oh my gosh, but those pictures were so impressive and expressive because they showed so many different sides of you. I have to ask you a quick question. The one with you and the male, was that Lyndon wrong?
That was Lyndon wrong.
Oh, right. I'm not
Yes.
I'm not losing it. So, how did you know that you had something to give as a budding dancer?
Um, to be honest, there was a lot of love and enthusiasm for it. and there's a lot of determination on my part. I had to get everything. In some ways, and I've broken away from this to some extent. I'm a perfectionist, and it had to be right. I enjoyed moving to music. I don't care where the music is. Sometimes I couldn't contain myself, which I can do now. Um, but I could say that I probably was transported into my imaginary world of movement, because I'm a big dreamer, and many times I would imagine myself dancing to songs on stage. I'm lying in my bed and I'm hearing the songs that I'm actually seeing myself and what I would do if I were dancing to that song. I would even dream of being a dance teacher with that wand in my hand and hitting the floor. And I guess it was very heavily on the spiritual side. It was very heavy on the spiritual side for me. That whole transformation and transportation into my imaginary world. And it was a real world for me. So I abandoned myself every time I went on stage.
Ah, that is deep. That
Yes.
you were a premier dancer, a soloist of the Guyana National Dance Company. Back then, this dance company was one of the respected ones in the Caribbean region, and your involvement was critical. Let's go down memory lane for a bit. And I want to know what was your most exciting experience about being a member of the National Dance Company of Guyana?
Um, to me, every day was exciting. Just getting up and coming to classes was exciting. You know, thinking, making sure my hair was in place. That hair in place. I don't know if you remember, I had my hair back.
So we're back with Andrea.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I was asking you about the most memorable experience for you in being a member of the Guyana National
Yeah,
Dance Company.
there were so many things. I look for, as much as we were all different people, I used to look forward to that friendly competition. Everybody's trying to get a batmouth to hit beyond their ears. You're trying to get the professor's attention. But one of the things I really loved, like I really enjoyed, is when we went to Barbados in 79, I think, when um, Barbados had this young lady who danced the same solo many rains ago. And I saw her dancing there. I actually saw her on stage. And Aunt Daphne came to me. She said, well, you see that? You see that? You got to top that. You got to top that. And I'm saying inside my tummy there, I said, like, I'm going to floor this woman. I'm going to floor this woman. Heather, her name was Heather Ford. That's the name of the person. She danced many rains ago. We were at the venue. I don't know remember the venue, but she danced many rains ago. And I said, no, the same crowd is probably going to come. And I went out there and I did my many rains ago. And I'm telling you, the transfer of everything, like I put my every single bit of me in that dance. And I can't remember if they stood up, all I knew was that I was queen on that stage that day, And for me, that was one big one. That was one big one.
Well, you had a lot of big ones, Andrea. I mean,
Yeah.
waiting. That's
Oh,
waiting. I mean, it's hard to really compare. It's hard to compare because you brought your A game every time. And I wish some of the young dancers in Guyana, especially, could see what the dance company members did back in the day. I mean, untouchable. And you know what? Forgive me for bragging because we have that bragging rights. The National Dance Company back then really stood out in the
Yes, the
Caribbean.
first one, the very first national dance
Yep,
company.
yep. You know, hands down. So you also have been instrumental in creating the character for your own in some ways, especially as a soloist. You're able to do that because the choreographer puts the work on you and then you have to bring everything else to make it
Yes.
work for you, to make it work for the choreographer, the choreography. What makes Andrea Douglas, or what made Andrea Douglas the power dancer she was?
If I could, before I talk about that, I remember I had to choreograph that piece because it was Monty Blackmore
Mm-hmm.
who commissioned it.
Which
And
one? Many years ago? Many,
no,
which
waiting,
one? Waiting.
waiting.
Okay. Okay.
And he brought the music, and he told me the story of this woman being jilted. And I had to go into my imaginary world and create this dance and listen to the music and get a sense of what type of music it was, know what steps to fit into this piece of music, and how along the way get intoxicated. So I created the story, and he saw it until the rehearsal, and he was like, oh my God, she did this, because I wasn't even sure if it would be the right, it would come over correctly for him, because he might have had a vision that I didn't have. But
Mm-hmm.
I think he gave me that power to do it. So that's when one of my biggest powers came out. For me, what stirs me is like the variety of reactions. Like, I can stir up reactions with dances, like what I did in Waiting. I could I stir up the audience in interpreting, as well as creating all these mind pictures on the way that I use my movements when I dance. And when I see or create any piece, that is always my aim, to take the audience on my journey. And when they go on my journey, if my dance is to make you cry, they will cry. They have to cry, because I will make it happen. And that's the way I teach also now. Get emotionally involved in it, transform yourself into that person who has to tell the story and tell a real story.
You know, you're mentioning something that's very critical here, Andrea, for dancers. And please don't come for me out there with what I want to say. I also feel, and I strongly feel this, that experiences in life have to do with how a dancer brings his or herself, his or her A game to whatever character is being portrayed in the choreography. And in looking at Waiting, and I know the two of us are having a conversation and the viewership doesn't even know what we're talking about. But I mentioned about Andrea's passionate performance in a solo piece called Waiting. And as she mentioned just now, it was about a jilted woman. But you really got into this character the way that a choreography was executed. And you could have empathized with this jilted woman. And I'm saying all of that to say, Andrea, I don't believe that someone, a woman or a man, without experiences of being broken spirited from a relationship or so, could have done such a fantastic job. That's what I feel. And I don't.
That's where you are. No, sometimes as they say, when you're telling a story, you have to become the character.
Right.
You have to create that illusion so that the people can feel, the people, your audience who's watching can feel. So I did what I had to do to make the dance happen. The same thing with Many Rains Ago. I had to pretend I was being beaten with ropes and whatever it was.
Mhm.
And I was like wrenching from all these hits, and it's acting combined with dancing. Is the dramatics of the dance.
Yep. Yep.
The same thing with Old Hyde. Well, that was a bit difficult because I had to look ugly, and that was a little hard to paint up my face and really look like an old hag. But when I got on the stage and I heard the feedback, man, I went with it. Every time I did it, I put more into it to distort myself and create the character, and satisfy your audience because you're dancing for them. Okay?
Yes. Excited. So you've danced with uh, the National Dance Theater of Jamaica.
Mhm.
How would you compare the experience
How
between
do I compare the experience?
that and the Dance Company of Guyana?
The Dance Company of Guyana was like a segue into it because it prepared the dance company prepared me for the role, right? Of course, when I went to Jamaica National Dance Company, I had to start from the bottom, but I didn't want to be at the bottom. I got there, the dancers were much older. Some of the dancers were 60 years old, celebrating their 60th birthdays and things like that. And I said, oh, we could dance so long? Good. And right away, we had soloists. There are some people who are soloists. There are some people who were uh, first, you call that the first row. They get the first special parts. And then you have the ones with the in-between parts. And then you have the ones who are at the back. Stay at the back because it's not happening. I didn't want to be in the back. I think I started in the middle because I made friends with the ones who were in the middle. I started to learn their stuff. Oh yeah, I watched with and with National Dance Company in Guyana, we didn't start with the soloists. We hadn't gotten there yet. Who's celebrated solos? They've done all the solos. They've done all the lead parts. We didn't have that because I guess because we were a much younger company, and everyone started at the same time. But with NDTC, it was a generation. I think I was in the third generation. I was with the third generation of dancers, and they came in learning the parts of different people. When they were selected or invited, they went into specific roles because that's the vision. Say, like Rex would probably see that personality for a specific role with that person. I had to find my way. Of course, I looked at, I once had to dance a special role with one of the girls passed away just before the season, and they needed somebody to do her part. She was sick, so I was learning her part, and I got the part, right? And that's when I really took off. I never became a soloist with the Jamaica National Dance Company because because but whatever I did in National Dance Company, second level, third level, not the back level, I enjoyed every moment of it, every single moment. I think that those years were my best dance life, best dance life. After that, anything else could happen. Because it was this dream that I had, that dream that I had being in that company, that was an achievement. But to look at the two, it's like from apples to oranges
Okay.
because they were much more established. They were established in a big way. They had all these years ahead of themselves and all these years to conquer. We had just a few years ahead of ourselves and all these years to conquer. Yes.
So incomparable, pretty much.
Yes.
What was a regretful moment for you as a dancer?
Uh-uh. I don't go with regret. I don't go with regret. Um, Everything happens. You know, I think I mentioned this, and I always in my bio when I said I had this mantra, I'm the maker of my destiny. When I was graduating from St. Joseph's, everybody got a little folded paper, a little folded paper. The teacher came and put it on the desk. She just mixed them up and then she started to share them up. When I open my paper, it says, mankind is the maker of his destiny. And I kept it with me. I changed it a bit. I said, I am the maker of my destiny. I am the only person can make things happen for me. I can't depend on anybody else. I can't depend on a teacher who's teaching me the movement for the dance to happen. I have to make it happen. And it really, really helped me along. Everything I have done so far, I am the maker of my destiny. There's some little things that happen that I want to say I regret, but I look at all the things that happened to me after that and how much it has embellished my life
Mm-hmm.
and brought me forward, that I say that maybe that's God's plan. That's why I like that song, God's Plan. You know it? Mm-hmm. The hip hop song, yes. You know the song, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. It was God's plan because it was the plan for my life. That's my pathway. And you have to, for me, people have to go through their pathways and look for the things that will take them forward. If you look at the things that will take you back, you'll never move forward. So I'm the maker of my destiny,
Mhm.
and regrets are not part of the equation.
I hear you. What about the ills of the dance profession? Any injuries?
Yeah, I have. When I came to Canada, I was studying to become a teacher. I had this 1 year program that I had to do to cover that part of my teaching certification. And well, I played basketball. I didn't mention that, but I played basketball in Guyana, and that's where I learned to fight, actually. And 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 we part of our work was gym. We had to learn how to navigate in the gym as a teacher. So we would fool around after class and play basketball. And I was going up for a shot, and somebody blocked me, and I felt a pop in my lower 4-5, my back, and I dropped on the floor. Well, of course, I was always a comic, so I said, I'm falling and can't get up. And everybody was laughing. They thought I was joking, but I really did fall and couldn't get up. And eventually, I had to be taken to the hospital. Um, I eventually had surgery on my back. I couldn't walk. I had surgery on my back, and I think they called it microdiscectomy because the 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 disc had popped out, and they had to push some of it back in and then shave it off. But I was back dancing. I was back dancing, but I didn't do a lot of the modern dance because it would become painful. I did a lot of folk dance, which was just as fun.
I asked
I
because
can
what's going on here. Um, I ask you that, Andrea, because in athletics there is, and I put dance in athletics.
Yes.
There is not enough being said about the possibilities of injuries.
Yes. I know.
You know, it's not just to do with the muscles or bones and all of that, but how about bunions, right? They say,
Oh, from point shoes, yes,
yeah,
and your knees, because the impact that you take within your knees, most of us will suffer with our knees. I do.
yep. How about arthritis? You know, using our limbs and oh, help.
Yes, and I have that too, but forget it. Like it's part of it. You loved it, so you have to love what it brings, right? You have to embrace it.
Yep.
Yes.
Just wanted us to talk a little bit about that and put it out there so that those budding dancers would understand when they see some of us slow in walk, you know, they understand that it's probably the life of a dancer.
But what they need to, a lot of dancers need to understand that you don't just jump. This is why you train, because you can delay those things. You have to train stringently to let your body, to train your body how to deal with all these different movements and the different angles your bodies have to take. If you don't train your bodies, then first of all, you'll hurt yourself trying to do it, and the injury starts much earlier. But I think with us as dancers who have gotten older, it's wear and tear. It's just wear and tear. And that's how I look at it. Wear and tear. And you just got to slow down or come off of the stage.
Huh.
So you're not doing a slow developing and saying, ow, you know? Yeah.
That's a good point. Take a break.
Okay.
But let's look at your work.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, look at my baby.
What a treat. What a treat. Fantastic choreography. For those who've just joined us, I'm sitting today with Andrea Douglas, dancer, choreographer, artistic director, retiree. and everything in between. I mean, ranks well earned as she's celebrating 48 years in the business of dance. So, Andrea, that choreography really highlighted you, not just as a dancer, but as a choreographer, because I saw the clean movements, I saw the personality, I saw the synchronicity of the group, the vividity of the color of the costume. I mean, it was nice on the eyes, if I if I may put it that way. So you're a seasoned choreographer amongst all other roles. What is important for you as a choreographer?
Um, can I just say something about the dance? When I came to
Sure.
Canada, um, I'd never learned PK. PK is from the French Caribbean. And as I said, I danced with a dance career performing company. And I learned from a real rootsy guy by the name of Martin Scott Pascal, who he is down to earth traditional. And I worked with him for quite a number of years, and he pinpointed specific things that you have to know. But when you're working with the young dancers, you have to teach the specifics. But you don't always get the dancer who's comfortable with themselves, right? What was your question again?
What is important for you as a choreographer?
Right.
Well,
What is important for me when I'm choreographing is not only getting the movement, is using dancers where applying movements to dancers based on their ability. A lot of us will want to put all the tall girls at the back because they're tall, the short ones in front. No, I group them according to ability and simplify or complicate based on their ability. So if they're dancing a simple movement and they get that simple movement, they can excel in that movement. Instead of giving them something that they're going to be scrambling with, they go on the stage and they're nervous as hell and they make mistakes. So I set movements on groups, and I say, this is your section, and then you come in and do this section. Little do they know that you can call it streaming. Yeah, in school they call it streaming. And that way they're comfortable with the part that they're playing. And at the end, I bring them together. So for me, is knowing the dancer's personality and fitting them where they belong. Knowing who would knowing the work yourself so that you can teach it, right? Knowing what you're doing so that you can teach it to them and they can understand it and get it. And then when you craft the dance together, you put all those pieces, you have to make you make dynamic entrances and exits, right?
Yeah, I like the piece that you mentioned about knowing the dance and being able to teach it. And I think I think I have a question later on about that. And I'll save it, because you remember back in the day when we go to shows, we might say, this person stole this buddy's dance. Remember? You might see somebody else's dance on the stage or something that resembled a choreography done by somebody else, and you're saying, oh, she stole somebody's dance or something like that.
Yes, I've heard that. Teeth, teeth, teeth. Right. Yes. I've heard that and I've seen it happen. But for me, it's not because it looked good on that dance group, it will look good on your group.
Yeah.
So the person who did the dance, say the person who created the PK, they probably didn't create the PK that like that, but I worked with what the dancers can do, simplify, and once they can excel. I can work with anybody. You might say you can't dance, but I'll make you dance because I'm going to give you a part, or I'm going to place you where you will dance and you will feel as though you're dancing, you know?
Mhm.
And that's how I work with my groups.
I want to stick a pin
Okay.
and say that we'll get to see that later on, where you made a dancer out of somebody who thought that she couldn't dance.
Okay.
Yes, we'll see that. You probably can't even remember, but it's there. So how do you
Ooh.
decide on using a piece of music, Andrea?
Sometimes it's because of it depends on the event. Um, let me go to the traditional. If I'm going to do something in, say, folk festival,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go and pick up Ave Maria. You see, you're not going to go pick up. You're going to think of, okay, this is the picture of this event. My dance has to fit in this event. My dancers can't do a folk dance, but they can do a dance to folk music. And I'm going to take that folk music or some music that relates to the event and I create with it. That way, even if they're not dancing a folk dance, they are connecting with the audience through music. So you marry your dance to the music. I'm not going to put bourrées. Everything is going to be flat footed. Everything is going to be about maybe a skirt. You know, now if you have a dance to do, say in a church, again, wherever you are wherever you are performing, there has to be that parallel. Now, when it comes to other types of dances, there are dances that come from deep within, deep within. I remembered there was when Haiti had the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
I collected a lot of pictures, and that earthquake really moved me. And I spent some time talking with the kids about it because I wanted to do a tribute. I wanted to do a tribute. And, I met with the dancers and I told them how I was feeling, what I was thinking about. And I wanted to make this dance with them. And they're going to be characters. So I had to have characters. I had to have somebody who had to be a mother. None of them are mothers, but I took the tallest girl and made her a mother. I said, you have to be nurturing. You have to be crying because you can't find your child. So the acting part came in. So there was, you have to build it based on the motif, on the theme. So don't just there are dances you can put together, but the deeper dances are dances that come from inside. And that's more work. That's a lot more work where you have to transfer what you're thinking onto your dancers, and then your dancers interpret. I don't know if I answered your
Yes,
question.
you did. You did. And you actually went into the other question about
Okay.
movements, which is good.
Uh-huh.
But I want to ask you, what do you say to people creating dances and or choreographers? I selected those words very carefully. People creating dances, people creating dances and or choreographers who keep the choreography and just change the music. I've seen people done that.
Yes, some people do that. I've done that a couple of
I'm
times.
talking with Andrea Douglas here today on arts, culture, and things in between. And she is talking to us from Toronto, Canada today. Andrea has been a member of the Ghana National Dance Company, and this year she's celebrating 48 years in the dance industry. She started with her dance career in Guyana, continued in Jamaica, went on to Canada, and recently retired. And I'll talk to her about that just now. Recently retired and was actually a school principal in the educational system, that is, before retiring. So she retired as a principal, but she kept dancing or kept being involved in the dance arena through her founding of the school, or the academy, rather, the academy called Children and Youth Dance Theater of Toronto. I know right now that we're experiencing some technical difficulties. That's why you are hearing me and watching me. But I want to take a moment to just say thank you to you guys and gals and the children who have joined us today, and those of you who are joining for the first time. I thank you, and I hope you're enjoying this chat with Andrea Douglas. And for those of you who have been here, thank you for continuing. Yes, so you're back. So we were talking, you were telling me that you have done.
I have done that, not a lot of times, but I became a little frustrated, and I said, you know, this dance reminds me of another dance that we did before. And I would just shut the music down, and I will get one of my seniors and said, can you teach them the movements for XYZ dance? You said, did you know a dance? I said, just teach the movement. Because I started to see that movement with this. And when she taught them, then I would bring it to the piece of music and manipulate it there.
Got it.
You don't see the exact dance, but you will see maybe a sequence from it that fits in there. But if you do it wholesale, if you do that with your dance wholesale, people are going to say, I sure I saw that before.
Exactly.
You have to know how to do that. You have to know how to. People do it here all the time when they're doing competitions. They get disqualified. They will be disqualified because people can recognize the dance. But you do it in a way it's not recognized, it's not recognizable.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you spoke to that. I mean, personally, I don't like it, and it's just me, because you also have to be calculating all the time, because you have to think about who might be in the audience. Have they seen this dance before? You know, would they be able to say, "Oh, that again? I think I saw this."
Not that before.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
But that comes when that shows up a lot when you're doing commercial dances, because the beat is the same. The beat is the same. Just take another dance, just count 4. You want to get this dance ready for tomorrow? Bring an old dance and that's tacky.
Yeah.
That is tacky. Very, very tacky. Very tacky. You know.
Let me ask you this before we look at some more of your work. What is your preference? Flexibility or emotions in a dancer?
I don't have preferences. Remember, I told you when I work with people. I work with what my dancers have.
I'm pushing you to choose. If
you're pushing me to choose,
if you had to choose,
listen, you can have a flexible person who don't say dilly squat. They look like duh on stage, right? But if it's characterization, for me, it's always characterization. It's not one more than the other. You could find dancers who are not flexible, and they're powerhouses. Tell them jump. You know when they jump. Let's say Rex Nettleford, he had a piece with the boys, but this is the first time I'm dancing without tights. So I'm working out to make sure I have definition, because I had to do a jump across the stage with the boys. And I just used to like how they flew across the stage. And let me tell you, I was working out to get it because I was a jumper. And the girl who was doing that part was a jumper. So when I got that opportunity, I just wanted it. Like I wanted it like food. So I come on. So sometimes you have to use people's facilities, you
Mhm.
know? You're not gonna put somebody with a long stringy leg to wear a bodysuit with no tights. Because there is see two sticks, right? You using all the girls who have muscle tone. And we were there going across the stage. We had to do this walk section. And your bodysuit was almost the color of your skin. So your bodies look totally naked. And the muscle formation and all those indentations had to show. So yeah. But as I said before, I'll go back to it. You have to, for me, that's how I work. I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but when I work, I try to use what the dancer has. You don't want anyone to feel incompetent
Mhm.
or that they're not good enough because everybody's good enough, you know?
You remember back in the day, we used to say something like, "Oh, she likes dance, but dance doesn't
Who
like
like
her."
her. Grew up. I grew up. And it hurts because I see kids like they pull into their shell. And I think working with kids taught me to move away from that. The kids still do it. I could tell you that. They still do it. And I'm like a tornado on them when they do things like that. Oh, she can't do this. I said, well, she's doing it. And even if I have to work with that child one on one to get it. But it's something that we did, and you know, when I sit and I think about it, I laugh. We did a lot of things.
We did, we did.
We did a lot of things. Um, and, it's when I think of it, it kind of hurts a little bit. And I wish I could take it back, but I can't. I can't.
Listen, for all those people that we might have offended when we were younger and we didn't know better, we apologize. How about that?
No, but we used to friend each other. We
Oh
did
my
it to
God.
each other. So,
Yes.
but it happens in every group. I tell you that. I see it in NDTC. I seen it there.
Yeah.
This look who's coming across the stage. And I'm like, no, she's trying. And I promised myself I'm going to get somebody like whoever I'm putting on the stage. I don't want to expose them to that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. So that's a good spot for us to take a look at some more
Right.
of your work, Andrea.
Okay.
Good.
Ooh. My babies.
It's a sunny Saturday morning, a gorgeous start to the spring season, and the Guyana Beat team is headed to Driftwood Community Center for a visit with the Children's Dance Theater. Located in the Jane and Finch community, the tone at this center is warm and inviting. The sounds of African drums permeate the walls, while cultural music fills the air. Eager learners sit attentively. Not what most would envision. Andrea Douglas is a professional choreographer who hails from Kitty, Georgetown. She founded the Children's Dance Theater 15 years ago. Weekend after weekend, she spends her time passing down her traditional African dance techniques to her students.
And up. Dance is natural, it's like walking. You take a walk and you add rhythm to it. You walk, 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 and walk, walk, walk. And there you have that rhythm going. And then you vary your hand direction, your head, your eyes.
The place is bustling as 3 to 4 classes go on simultaneously. Despite her busyness, Andrea makes sure to pay close attention to each student. She ensures that high standards are maintained.
We have planned schedules, we have expectations, and the students know the expectations. We don't just do it haphazardly. I came from a background, the educational background, where as an administrator, things have to be organized. If it's not organized, there's going to be chaos.
Miss Douglas is a very real person. We're a family here. We know each other for so long. We know the good and bad of each other. We see each other every Saturday, Thursday, Friday. So we get to know each other very intimately.
Miss Douglas is a good teacher because she's not like one of those, well, sometimes she's not one of those strict teachers. She can relate to us in a ways that she's a school teacher, so she has experience with children. So I think that's very well.
Andrea's passion developed from the arts she was exposed to in Guyana. She then moved on to dance professionally for the country's National School of Dance.
When I chose seriously to take the task of doing dance, it was in 1972 after Carrie Fest, the first Carrie Fest in Guyana. And Lavinia Williams was there, and then I heard she was coming back. So I was one of the first people walking in to the Benab to do dance, much against my father's wishes.
Fate has it that Carafesta is coming back this year for its 10th anniversary. All of this wonderful dancing looked like so much fun that I just couldn't resist a lesson with the pros.
All right, and
Up, down, down.
Next, I was really put to the test with our very own Guyanese choreographer, Andrea Douglas.
No, I've isolated it just the foot and level.
yes.
Now I'm going to add the hand.
Okay.
Opposite hand to the leg. Right foot, left hand, left foot, left leg, right hand.
Okay.
These two. Top the air.
I think the girls are having a laugh behind me as I practice the moves they perfected over the years.
Now the other side. Tap.
Tap.
Okay. Let's see the back. 2, 3, 4. Like you're flapping your wings.
4.
Again. 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4.
Stay down, stay down. You gotta get those knees hurting. Ready? 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4.
Go girl, let's go now. Let's put it all together.
Okay.
Take a deep breath. And then we'll do it together. Now she's the expert. Let's go. Ready? 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, go. Tap. Yes. And tap. Okay, everybody go. Tap. Hey. Hey. Next step. That's it. Okay. All right.
Wow. So we just saw, Andrea, like I promised, you making a dancer
Okay.
out of a non-dancer. And she rose to the occasion. And it's because of how you really explained the movements to her, how you showed her it. So that's what I made reference to earlier. And you had this puzzled look on your face, like, what is she talking about? But we just saw a reflective clip of your work, your humble beginnings in Guyana with South Kin Dance Theater, and then you have continued working with our youth. And this is a fancy word now for back then. You were an entrepreneur ever since, by owning your dance studio. And so you've continued with the instructor, continued as a dance instructor, and you have been in the dance instruction business for a very long time. What draws you to working with children in dance spaces, Andrea?
I don't know. I just, you know what? They're like clay. They're like clay. You can, and they're not judgmental. That's the next thing. They're always open to learning. Children are open to learning. They like sponges, and they don't have excuses. Maybe the kids nowadays have excuses, but in that time, kids didn't have excuses. They have no excuses. They just want to do something. And in Guyana, doing dance was something exciting to have happen for you. You go down Durban Street and you see all these kids standing up. What are you doing here? You know where the YWCA is on Brigham? Tell your mom send you there to Saturday morning. I didn't get a penny for it, but they used to be lined up outside the door and they're buying bodysuits from God knows where, and they're coming. They were coming. And there was a joy. I guess it's missing it from my own childhood that I chose to give it back to children. Because there are a lot of kids out there. Their parents cannot afford it. In North America, it is so damn expensive. It is expensive. And even dance in Guyana or the Caribbean now, we're exposed to dance in North America. And some of our teachers, not all of them, are leaning more to that, the commercial side of dance because it looks good on television. It looks good. So they think that's what it's all about. But you can start with humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings. There's a young man in Africa, Nigeria. He uses one of his bedrooms to teach. And he puts a piece of cloth or something on the floor and he has his bar and he's teaching. He's teaching ballet and he's teaching some real ballet. Nothing else but ballet. I can't remember his name, but out my head, I can look at my phone during a break and let you know. But people should go on his site, and he has so many followers because of the work he's doing with it. And he's working with children. Kids want to be wanted. Kids want to learn. Kids, they fantasize. I fantasize my dance. I was this little chunky girl. Nobody gonna think of putting me in a ballet outfit. No, and I wanted it. I didn't get the chance to do it. And there are other kids who are like me. And those are the kids I look for. I look for those kids. And I give it back to them. Even at school, I had kids used to get into trouble. I thought about myself. What made me stop getting into trouble outside? And the girls used to be fighting outside. So I called all the fighters together. I said, let's go in the gym. And I took my laptop. I came out of my office, took my laptop, and I took a boombox. And I said, make a dance. You got 15 minutes to make this dance. And then the next 2 days after they come, can we go make a dance? I said, okay. I went back to the gym and I'm sitting on a bench with my laptop, answering emails, doing what I have to do. That turned out to become an audition we had when school opened because everybody wants to join. When we had the audition, I pulled the teacher in, 50 kids waiting. 50 kids. And it just blossomed. One of those girls got into one of the schools for the arts.
Wow.
She was the loudest mouth. she got in there. She became a choreographer. She became a choreographer because I taught them differently. I taught them how to use dance. So, you know, it's a way of giving back.
Yeah. And it really speaks to what this program is about, how we pass on that knowledge and experience and skills to the younger generation, because we need our arts and our culture to be continued, period. And it
Exactly.
cannot stop with us. Currently, you're the artistic director of Children and Youth Dance Theater of Toronto. As the artistic director of this academy, what do you do?
Um, for a while, I've been doing everything, because you always have to find someone to work with you who can take off some of the paperwork, take off some of the teaching. I don't teach anymore because there's more I can do. I started off teaching and doing attendance and all of that, but then it became harder. The more work you have to do, the more kids you have, the more you have to manage it. And then moving into your own studio, you have to think, okay, we don't have enough money coming in here. How are we getting some money? Now you have to go applying for grants. So I'm doing grant writing, I'm doing fundraising. I even had a fundraiser on Facebook. We raised a little bit of money, but we were contented, and I am now doing management. This year I took a class. I
Okay.
took a class for some kids who came in with 2 left feet, because the ballet teacher says it's not going to work. I said, these kids have to have some amount of technique. I'll make a class, foundations class. And I took 4 of them and I'm working with them. But other than that, paperwork. I make my own ads. I learn how to use the computer so that we don't have to spend money on that kind of stuff. But as the artistic director, you also have to create the vision and make sure that you are staying on track with the vision, right? One of the big things about the program is that we have something called Ignite Your Passion. It's an outreach program which has always got to be funded. We always have to get funding for it. And we get a teacher to go into schools, maybe 2 teachers to go in different schools, 2 schools each, and they give free programs. Out of there, we're looking for kids with talent. Bring them in. Okay, they come, they don't have money. We have to now find scholarships for them, find somebody to fund them. So these are all the little things that are happening along the way. Go ahead.
It's like you are peeping into my head, because as you were talking, I was thinking about how dance is not just dance for children. And I wonder, how do you get involved in outreach to the families in the community to help them to get them to sign up and become a part of the dance academy?
Okay, that sometimes is a little difficult, because we go, sometimes they have these little festivals. We go there with your flyers. My business partner, I now have a business partner. She's doing what I used to do before, lots of talking and meeting all these people and giving them stuff. She goes over and she asks, where's your mom? Call your mom. Listen, we have this here. We need you to come, right? And then they would come. We would go into community centers, into the West Indian stores, and we leave our flyers. Now we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Kids are on Instagram, so the kids are checking and their friends are checking, and the whole network is working with it. But one of the big things is the value people play on it. To it. You find a lot. I don't mean to say negative about my community, but sometimes you have to push our community a little bit more. We have to kind of push them a little bit more and say, look, there's something in this that can come out of this. their avenues. Like one of my teachers, she's a physiotherapist. She did dance and became a dance teacher, and she's a physiotherapist by profession. So there's not, it's not only dance.
Mhm.
Kinesiology, there's dance administration. If you get a job in a dance studio, you can work
Yeah.
because it's entertainment and administration.
Yeah.
There's also entertainment law. One of my girls, she wants to do law, and she can do, if she does a double major, now she can do um, entertainment law, and she can major in that. So there's always a nexus that you can connect.
Yeah.
But again, the other part is building yourself, building discipline, building commitment, building consideration for others, and understanding, and building all those, nurturing all those little skills, you know?
So as you talk about building all of those skills and nurturing self and all of that, we know that dance, and I alluded to it just now, but I want to expand on it some more. Dance is not just dance. It's so many
Many
other
things.
layers of life that is involved. And I am wondering, how do you deal with your students, with the children who cannot concentrate during classes because there is stuff happening in their lives, you know, whether it is that the child is experiencing his or her own personal issues, or there is some domestic issues at home. How?
This is where the nurturing comes in. This is where you teach them where to I'm trying to find the word to use here. We see that. You see a child come in and the child's just sitting. And I say, "You okay?" "Yeah." "I don't believe you." But I leave it at that. I leave it to that. And then when you start the class, I said, "Go in there and just dance that anger out. Put it in movement." You know, I whisper that to them quietly. And the child would look at you, or they'll just go in. When they come out of the room, they let it go. It helps them to let it go. This is your time. When you walk in this door, it's all about you, because that shall soon pass. We talk about not your inability to change things, right? Change how you look at it, change how you let it affect you. You know, that part of it. I had a very good teacher who worked with me. She's a church, not a pastor, she's a deacon, but she did dance. She was really good with keeping that part going through. So we had all these skills in between,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was really, really good with that. I would say, "I have one for you." And she would sit and she would create dances about it.
You
Create
know,
dances together.
I'm listening to you and I'm doing my own self-reflection, because I had a dad who, and God rest his soul, who was into education. That's it, education.
Books.
So I was the child, I was the budding dancer who would not go straight home from school, but would go straight to dance classes and get a beating every time. And I would go back the next time, because I knew then that dancing was giving me that self-satisfaction, making me feel good about myself, helping me to develop my personality and all of those things. And you know what was funny? And I'll get off my soapbox in a minute. My father did not appreciate my dancing until I got to the dance company. And the dance company made front page. I never forget. He was in the
Okay.
shop showing, you see my daughter? She's a dancer. She's a dancer. It was
Mhm.
hilarious. But I can personally speak to that story that you just talked about. And that's why I asked the question, because I know that dance is very therapeutic, and for
Yes,
parents out there.
my father saw me dance for the first time when I came out of Guyana. I went to my sister. You know, I have a sister who's a religious nun, and she was making her final vows. I actually told her I'll dance for her, and I went there and I danced. I performed there. My father saw me for the first time. He couldn't he couldn't connect dance university master's degree. All he saw was dance jumping up to music, but then he realized what it was. But he missed the bus because all the stuff happened before.
Before that,
Yeah, he missed the bus. But you know, God rest his soul, he got a chance to see me, and I actually got a chance to dance with my dad. And that I cherish so much.
wow.
I have a picture dancing with him because he died the same year around after that he died in January of the next year, I think.
Wow, so
So I
sorry.
got a chance to dance with him.
Mhm.
And for me, that's the best dance I've ever done.
So I guess in a nutshell here with what we just talked about is my plea to parents to allow your children to use the arts for that therapeutic value that you may not be able to address for them, because you might be a part of the problem for the child, believe it or not. You know,
Very much so.
so please allow your child to,
Wherever, you know, just go and see the place, take your kids. You know, it might cost a little, but it doesn't really cost that much, just one class. And you'll be surprised that this child will blossom. Some people never realize how their children. I have a little one, she's now 17. She was with me from 3 years old. Never missed a day. And it broke my heart when her and we hit heads and she decided, well, I told her she needs to go home. And when she left, she actually came back. But it was so warm for me to see her come back because she's talented. And I had to do what I had to do, but at the same time, she needed to continue. So it's a growing thing. And if we could use it the way our ancestors did, our ancestors danced for sadness, joy, cooking, the thunder, the lightning, planting, reaping. That's what we dance for. It was part of who we are. So I feel that there's nothing wrong with it. Just look where you're sending your children. Make sure it's something that will benefit them and make you feel proud. And you will feel
definitely. On that note, let's look at some more of your work, Andrea.
oh my God, yes. I don't know what's coming.
Good.
Okay. Oh,
Being afraid to be with you right now. Running to you right now. I will fall down, bring within a sound that points us to you right now. Erase substitutes.
So we just watched some young dancers of Children and Youth Dance Theater of Toronto. And I'm sitting with Andrea Douglas, who is the artistic director or an arts, culture, and things in between. Thanks for joining us. Now we watched the dancers, Andrea, in a class, and then we saw some other dancers in performance, pretty much bringing together the work that is being done at your establishment. I've already mentioned that you have been working with children for a very long time, and equally important is the fact that you've had a professional life as an educator. As a matter of fact, you are a retiree. Bernie told me that you've recently retired as a principal of the elementary school system in Toronto. So talk about the experience of arts integration into the educational system. I mean, how do you know that arts integration into the educational system would work when you did it?
I started to use it when I was a teacher. As I said, I work in some of the needy neighborhoods, and I had to find different ways to engage students. I had to engage my students through visual arts. I had to engage them through sport. Everything I tried to do when I worked with them, I worked hands-on, right? I worked hands-on. When I did math, for example, and I'm going to use math because math seems to be far-fetched, I use drama, not drama. However, I use math in such a way, I created families, and they had group of families together in the classroom, and I give each family had what we call income. And this is one project I did on spending and writing checks. So everybody had to get a check for their family. In some families, both mom and dad got a check. In some families, mom got a check or dad got a check. And they had to create like a family life and learn how to spend money, learn how to provide, because some of them had children in the family. And as they were finished, like when we finished the project, they had to come back and report. They had to come as a family and report, and they had to do this in the form of drama, having a discussion in the family about spending. But because they were able to relate to it, because when they wrote it's the whole metacognition of the whole idea, they had to do a written report. So there was math, language, home management, drama, everything was included. So it was integrated, and they had to write a report. And every child in the group had to write about it. Some of them said, I will do my schoolwork because I don't want to have a family that's struggling to make ends meet. Basically, that's what some of them wrote. One kid basically cried and said to me it wasn't fair for him to get such little bit of money for the job that he was doing because he's driving a taxi. Some of them wanted to buy a house, and you're working for enough money to pay just the rent and the food, but this is how I talk about integrating. When we did social studies, we created plays around a topic on Canadian history. They created dances because when they had to do the St. Lawrence River, when the Europeans and the French were taking stuff from the Native Indians, they had to find out more about Native Indian dance. And some of them created these dances in small groups. It was amazing to watch how these kids, but who could not read understood.
Mhm.
They understood the story because they built it together.
Yeah.
And it's the sharing, all of them sharing their knowledge. And those, kids who I found never paid attention was coming and complaining and say, I don't feel included, right? And then you have to go in there, do damage control, and talk about how you can make it more inclusive. So I found it to be successful for me. And then because of that, my principal at that time asked me if I could have, if we could have in the next school year, if we could have an arts and performing arts club. We had too many kids. So we decided to just do grades 4 and grade 5. I had 2 grade 3s crying at the door. 2 grade 3s. One of them ended up dancing with me and then graduating and going off to college and doing the arts and dancing with a company in Toronto. So it works.
It works. Yeah.
It works. She's brilliant. She's an extremely good writer. I always talk about her. She's just amazingly intelligent, but she never wanted to write. She's not right. She writes for herself, but not like write for a magazine. I was pushing her in the direction of writing, but she has to find her way now because she's now an adult. But I've seen one of my boys. I don't even have his drawing here. It's in the garage because I had to move my stuff. He was talk all the time. So I had projects for him to draw, projects for him to do artwork. He created a beautiful drawing of Nefertiti.
Wow.
And colored it, and I framed it. I had it in my office. And something just told me, take a picture of it and post it on my Instagram, because they followed me. When he saw this, he said he couldn't believe it. I kept it all this time. He couldn't believe it. Guess what he does now? He has his own clothing line and his own brand, and he has his logo. He creates logos for people.
Wow.
So it comes like you bring out something, but it engages them. Art engages them,
Yeah.
But maybe I should have written about it. I should have studied it in depth before becoming a teacher. I don't know.
No. You did.
I did it at the right time.
You did what you had to do.
Yes.
A quick question before we take a break and we start wrapping things up. What legacy you believe you have left with the elementary school system in Toronto?
Well, not all of them now, because a lot of the schools have changed. A lot of people who came in during my time, who they've retired. So that's, they're in my status now. We're in retirement. But I left a legacy. One school, I built them a hall. I created a hall, the African History Wall, where there's a gentleman here who makes posters every year. I gifted the school every year a poster for Black History Month. And I took one hallway and I used to add every year. I added. One other school, for the first time I know, they had never seen African dance or Afro-Caribbean dance. I took my dancers there to perform, and it's an all-white school. And they had the opportunity to do workshops, a whole day of workshops, and I brought dancers in to teach them. And they were dancing calypso, and they were dancing to drums and all of that. I just have pictures left of that. And my last school that I did some dancing at, I did a lot there. That's a school where I started I initiated their dance group, the John McCrae, the McCrae dancers. And they were the first grade 6 students to go into a competition or an extravaganza called Dare to Create, or TDSB Creates. The first time they had grade 6s is when I took them. I called the lady. I said, my kids are in grade 6. They're not in high school. Can they come? She said, they dance? I said, yeah, they do. And I took them and they blew it away. They blew it away in there because they created the dance themselves. And when I left, they continued doing that. And for every year, they perform in this event, and they didn't this year because of COVID. They got a big poster of the students, which the principal puts up in the display board. So I think they have about 3 or 4 years there. I hope they will continue. I'm in touch with the teacher, and she actually asked me, can you come back now that you retired? So, I told her I probably would, because it's a school I love. It reminds me of home, like in the schools in Kitty and all of that, all the little children and the whole mixture of kids. I just probably would do that with one of my days to keep myself busy.
So
what I do.
your legacy lives on.
Yes, and the studio will continue because I've already started to find leadership to take over.
Oh, nice. Let's take a quick look and come back. And I have 2 more questions. We'll probably go a little beyond 5 o'clock because we had some static.
We had some stat breaks, yeah.
So let's take one last look at your work, and then we come back and we talk about.
Let me see what else you're gonna do. I don't know what you're bringing.
Andrea Douglas's work.
Okay.
My name is Andrea Douglas, and I am so honored to receive this award of excellence in the arts. And I want to say I'm receiving it on behalf of all the lovely kids, the lovely children I've worked with over the years. Achieving excellence for me, it gives me an opportunity to devote time and energy to unearthing the talents and strengths of young people, watching them grow and watching them excel. Everyone has a gift, and everyone's gift needs to be nurtured. Sometimes they're not aware of that gift, and bringing that awareness, nurturing it to the point where they can use it to be successful, I think that is integral to achieving excellence. My mom died when I was pretty young, and my dad, he understood what I was interested in. He understood what I was passionate about, but I don't think he connected that well. But eventually he did when he saw me perform, and he was speechless. But I want to thank him for that moment when he says, "Girl, you can really dance."
Oh my God. Oh, okay, I'll bring it.
So
And here it is.
oh, that's what it is. Wow.
This is it.
Nice. Congratulations all over it.
This is what it is.
Andrea, it's so warming to the soul when your work could be appreciated on this level. I know a lot of us don't do what we do for accolades, but it's nice when somebody recognizes it. And we just saw that clip of you receiving the most prestigious Black award in Toronto, Canada, the Harry Jerome Award of Excellence in the Arts. And you dedicated this to the children that you serve. This is a huge deal because this recognition is also about passing knowledge to the younger generation. And
passing the torch.
About how you nurture the young dancers at Children and Youth Dance Theatre of Toronto, the Academy, actually, for lifelong, life after dance, really. I listen to you and I think of how much of the nurturing is propelling them for life, period. Yes, they're going through their life as a dancer, but they're also learning about the finer things of life. I wonder, what is your number one goal or aspiration for the Academy, the Children and Youth Dance Theatre of Toronto?
Okay, if I can win the lottery, there's a building right in the street. I've been looking at this building. It's been empty. I saw some people going there. I said, what are they going for? Because that's my building. But if I win the lottery, or if someone sees, and sometimes we used to talk about the penny drops, remember?
Yeah,
Then I think it's Aunt Daphne would say, "Don't worry, your penny will drop."
Daphne,
And
Daphne, as in Big Daphne Rudd.
Big Daphne, yes, she always talks about the penny dropping. And if I can get that, I tell you, I will put up a building that will serve. It would not probably won't be full time, but it will be available for any child who wants to dance, who wants to do drama. There will be dancing it, there will be theater, there will be drumming. Bring all those little groups in there because nobody's doing it for us as a community. Yes, we hear the promises, and promises, and promises are made to be broken because that's part of promise. And leave that building called, well, I don't want to call the name because I may not give away the story, right?
Right.
But my hope is to move CYDT, make it bigger so that everybody can have a piece of the pie. And it must be an arts institution for our children.
I think when the for the arts is there, we carry similar dreams because I'm listening to you, and we at Ghana Cultural Association, of which I'm a board member, we fantasize about getting our own building, and we're hoping for our penny to drop. We already have a program called our Arts and Cultural Center.
Yes.
But we're renting space, and sometimes renting turns out to be a very expensive.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID-19, really yeah. But the rest in terms of praying and hoping and wishing and applying and looking forward to getting your own space so that you can nurture.
Yes. Yes.
Talents, the great talented children in our communities. And I like how you put it, we have to look out for our marginalized
kids. Yes.
Have to. One last question. How passing the baton to the next generation? What do you have to say to those budding dancers as you're passing the baton to them? And then you still have to deal with the skeptics about embracing dance as a profession.
Well, the ones who are going out there right now, their parents are very supportive. When we bring parents in, we talk about that a lot. We try to encourage the support, and many of them are thinking of doing dance. But I say to them, okay, you have two things. Is there anything else you like doing? And I refer to myself when I talk about being an educator, doing education and doing dance. They relate to each other, right? So I encourage them if they ask me, because sometimes they don't. If they ask me, I will talk about doing double majors. Because dance, your body's a very ungrateful piece of
instrument.
And if it crashes, it crashes. But if you do a double major, you have the opportunity to do something else that relates to it, but still keeps you in tune.
Yep.
Right? I encourage the double major. I tell them, don't be afraid. I enjoyed every moment of what I did. As I said, I have no regrets. Only that I didn't start earlier, but it wasn't to be, And I try to encourage them to choose a nexus, have a nexus that if they change their minds, it's still there. Or you can become a lawyer and dance part-time, because that's what the NDTC dancers do. They have their professions and they have their dance. And they're all professionals in their own way. So you can do dance and you can study for other subject areas or other disciplines or other professions. So don't think that the door narrows down. You can do your dance as, say, when you're studying you can use your dance as a way of release from the intense studies, and just do it for the sake of dance. And then you come back next morning, you go back to school. The professor give you a hard time on your paper. I'm going to dance it out, kind of thing, you know? But that's for me. That's how it worked for me. I still went to university. I still did my teacher program. And now I can come back to it. And I think I'm happy now that I'm back into it.
Wow. Wow. Not Andrea Douglas. We are end. We are at the end. I wanted to say thank you.
I really appreciate this opportunity.
And chatting with us and telling us a little bit about your life and the dance world out there that some individuals might not be familiar with. So I want to thank you, Andrea, and say to you, our guests out there, thank you for joining us. And please find Andrea Douglas and Children and Youth of Dance Theatre of Toronto on Facebook. And I know that there may be some YouTube pieces on the work that Andrea is doing. But as I say, thanks to Andrea and to you, the viewers, for joining us today on Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. I have to acknowledge some people who make this happen for me. Claire Goring, who does the flyer every week, Marcia Gordon, who's working on the YouTube channel, Yasun Ryan, who's building the website, Dr. Raul Manzano, who did the logo, forever grateful, and the man of the hour, Raul De Silva. Yes. Who sits quietly in the back end, and he would prefer me not to big him up this, but I know no other way but to say thank you in a big way to Raul of RDE Pros for giving your unselfishness every week. And these individuals are special because they're giving time and service without remuneration. So Claire, Marcia, Yash, Dr. Menzano, and Raul, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate you. To all of the viewers who've been joining us, the new ones who've joined us today for the first time, thank you. Hope this was an educational program for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some entertainment. You know, we talk about edutainment these days, and I hope that this program today was that for you. So I'm also hopeful that next week, Sunday, you're able to join me on Arts, Culture, and Things in Between from 3 to 5 p.m. Spend some time with us here and just learn from our artists about what they're doing in the community. I thank you. I thank you for joining us on Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. I am your host, Rose October, and I would be remiss if, before I end, I didn't ask you to go and find the YouTube page of Arts, Culture, and Things in Between and like and share and subscribe. On that note, please do have a productive week ahead and see you next time. Andrea Douglas, thank you much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.